Okay, in today's video, we are going to be going over the anterior abdomen, going to go over the muscles, their blood supply and innervation, important landmarks, going to go over the layers, going to go over the remnants of the umbilical cord. So to start out, I'm just going to go ahead and sketch out a very rough trunk. So I'm going to start out with one of the easy landmarks and just go with the linea alba. That is the midline, and it is formed by all of the aponeuroses coming together in the midline superficial. I'm also going to go ahead and put a little umbilicus in here. And that's just to get oriented. So next, I'm going to go ahead and on the right side demonstrate the external oblique muscle. You'll recognize this by the fibers that run obliquely in the direction that you would see if you were to put your hands in your pocket. And the aponeurosis of the external oblique forms a very distinct layer, stops at the midline there. So the important parts are obliquely in the direction of your pockets, and this forms part of the rectus sheath, which is going to be important later. Now over here on the patient's left side, I'm going to go ahead and draw the internal oblique muscle. So the important part about the internal oblique is it kind of has this fan-shaped pattern going on. And its aponeurosis forms the semilunar line, which you will see like that. So that is one more aponeurosis that goes to join in at the midline, the linea alba. So now that we've got those, I'm going to go ahead and draw in the, let me lighten this up real quick, the rectus abdominis muscle. So this is the classic six-pack that everybody thinks about when they talk about abs. So the rectus abdominis is going to go through like this, and it also is going to be covered by a tendinous intersection. So the tendinous intersections go right here, and those are what causes that look for the six-pack. So when we put all of these together, these external abdominal muscles, an important characteristic is this arcuate line, which is a little further under the umbilicus than what I've drawn right here, but the lower part of the rectus abdominis anteriorly is not covered by the rectus sheath. So the rectus sheath is, bring that back up, all of this aponeurosis that is covering the rectus abdominis muscles. At the arcuate line, that aponeurosis stops, and we're going to talk about that later when we talk about the different layers as the abdominis or abdominal wall goes through. So that rectus sheath is posterior, but on the anterior side it is not covered, and that happens at this arcuate line. So I'm going to talk real quick about the blood supply and innervation of these muscles. So let's start with the external oblique muscles over here. Their blood supply is from the superior and inferior epigastric arteries, and their innervation is the ventral rami of the 6 inferior thoracic nerves. So basically the innervation is as you come down and around at the appropriate levels as they go across. So the internal oblique is also supplied, since these are large muscles coming in, supplying large portions of the body, they have multiple innervations. So it's going to have that same superior and inferior epigastric arteries for the blood supply over here. But also, you're going to have coming up from here the deep circumflex iliac artery coming in to help supply there. The innervation on this internal oblique is the same as the last one, ventral rami of the 6 inferior thoracic nerves, but it's also going to be the first lumbar nerve. So as you come down the spinal cord posteriorly, back here, you've got the nerves traveling across the ribs, coming around, and the ventral portions of that. So the first lumbar nerve as we're getting lower and lower. Let's bring back our rectus abdominis muscles. We'll go ahead and clear these guys out a little bit. So the rectus abdominis has the exact same blood supply and innervation as the external oblique. So you're going to have, as these come around, those 6 ventral rami of the inferior thoracic nerves, and also the superior and inferior epigastric arteries. All of these things can be seen more in depth on Netter Plate 245 through 247. So the other important part that I've not talked about yet is deep to all of these muscles, you're going to have the transversus abdominis muscle. So with that one, the transversus abdominis runs deep to all of these muscles. And let me see. Runs deep to all of these muscles, and it runs horizontally. The fibers run horizontally across on both sides. And the blood supply on this is going to be the inferior epigastric, so the superior epigastric is not going to provide blood supply to the transversus abdominis, but it does to all of the other abdominal muscles. So inferior epigastric and the deep circumflex iliac as the internal oblique. It's also going to get its nerve supply just like the internal oblique. The ventral rami of the 6 inferior thoracic nerves and the first lumbar nerve. This also is going to have a slight aponeurosis that it's more medial than the other aponeuroses, but it is also going to contribute to that linea alba.